guide on this exciting journey to mastering the art of eyebrows. Either you're a newbie or a seasoned pro, it doesn't matter. This podcast is your go-to resource for all things brows. I've gathered industry experts, insider tips, and inspiring success stories to help you enhance your skills, boost your confidence, and take your brow game to new heights. Today I want to talk about hand-tied threading. I think this has been a long time coming. I've probably talked about it quite a bit throughout all of the episodes, but this one is just about the threading. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet, but given that I just launched my manual, my hand-tied threading manual recently, I just wanted to drop in and talk about it more. And the real reason I wanted to chat about it is that ultimately, at the end of the day, the only reason I'm here talking to you in this way is because of threading. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the truth. I would not be where I am without threading, which is so crazy. And every year when I look at my numbers, I'm like, it's going to be something else. It's going to be something else. I do higher ticket services. There's no way. And at the end of the day, my cash money is threading. I make the most with threading, which is crazy. I charge $25 for a threading service. It usually takes me anywhere from 10 to maybe 20 minutes max. I book 15-minute slots, so clearly I'm rarely doing 20 minutes. And I am actually planning on raising my prices soon. So it will be, my plan is 28. I don't want to do a massive increase, which is so funny because with my other services, I'm like minimum $5 increases. That's just, how it goes, because when those, like something like lamination or tint goes up in cost, it's usually related to like the supplies. Whereas with threading, my overhead is so low. I've been able to keep my cost at 25 for majority of my career. I started at 15 when I opened my business, slowly went up to 20 and then went up to 25. And I remember when I went up to 25, it was such a big moment for me because my previous job, we charged 20. So to surpass what I was charging at the place that helped me like bloom into the artist that I was, or am, I guess, surpassing their charge was like such a big deal for me. So now thinking about going even beyond that, I mean, I know that when I went to my first trade show, oh my God, I think 2018, maybe somewhere around there. We met, me and the crew that I went with. We met Kelly Baker, and hearing her story was so inspiring. I remember sitting there and being like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I'm a threader. Her service, albeit great. I mean, obviously we know she's the OG brow artist, but I remember sitting there and watching and just like kind of noticing, it sounds so rude to say it, but just like an old school style of hair removal. And I just feel like as much as we've all like grown from her, I feel like, she's such an incredible artist. Obviously, you have your idols and you build off them. Like, we have to become adaptable and we grow as brow artists, as the industry changes, as education comes out, all of that. And I just remember sitting there, and even the girls that I was with, we were like, wow, it's like a little bit more tweezing than I would do. It took a little bit longer, like literally sitting there soaking in everything she's saying, but kind of being surprised at how much like didn't correlate with like my day-to-day brow appointments. I feel like so much of that was knocking her, and it wasn't. I really tried to like sugarcoat that, but it was just a light bulb moment for me. So I remember that really, really vividly because I mean, we met her. I was like over the moon. I literally love the photo that I have with her. It's like one of my favorites. I remember being like, this is why I got in the industry. Like, this is the stuff that I was so excited about. And walking around that trade show for the first time was incredible. Last year going back, and it was my third time, I think, going to the trade show. And going and speaking was bananas. I was like, now I'm doing demos in front of people at this trade show that I walked around and was just like enamored by everything. And, the growth is just wild. And the fact that it all stemmed from threading is crazy to me. I was so excited to do the threading demos even at the trade show. We were mainly focusing on brow lamination, but if you know me or you followed along with me, I don't give my clients the option. If they come in and they're getting brow lamination done, they're getting threaded. Every other appointment they have the option to choose. I will say that my clientele is like 98, maybe 99% threading. I don't do a ton of waxing. But if they do come in and they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that today because I don't do that with lamination. At the trade show, I was doing hand-tied threading demos, and it was so, so fun just showcasing it. People have so much interest around it. There's a massive lack of education. I'm starting to see that change so much. Like this year alone, I've noticed like a massive uptick of it, but years previously, there was zero education. I think I've been teaching for about 3 years now, and I remember when I started the threading training, there was zero. I like literally could not find it online, anywhere, in person or online. Like it was bananas. I'm stoked that there's more offerings for it. Super excited to have my manual out. I just feel like it's a really nice way for you to like kind of dip your toes into the threading world and kind of like just checking in, seeing what it's all about. It's perfect for somebody who's already a threader and they want a little continued education. They want to see techniques from a different perspective, or a different technique itself. There's, in the mouth threading, there's around the neck threading, and then there's my style, which is hand-tied threading. I'm gonna just say it now, no threaders come for me, but I'm gonna be honest, and I think the hand-tied method is gonna be the top dog eventually once it picks up a little bit more, because I feel like it makes the most sense. It's wild to me. The in the mouth threading is a massive no to me. I remember vividly reading a dermatologist journal on a case study where this doctor had patients come in with herpes on their brow area, and he was like, how the fuck is this happening? Like, this is not where it like presents itself symptom wise. Like, it's around the mouth and everything, like we know. And he was so confused. And then finally enough people had come in with the same symptoms and at the same area that he was like, where do you get your brows done? And circled it back to a threader. I feel like in my brain, I'm like, that triggers the fact that the saliva, if you're threading long enough, and you probably are, that saliva is traveling down the thread and touching your client. And we're removing hair. So if any of those, the pore that we've ripped that follicle out of, that it connects to the bloodstream, I don't know. Anyways, it's unsanitary at the end of the day. If we're offended by like somebody spitting on you, you're gonna like come in and get a threading done with it and it's in their mouth. No. Then we go to the around the neck threading, and albeit a little bit more sanitary. Clearly it's not touching, the mouth or any sort of saliva, which is something that carries obviously a lot of pathogens and germs. And my only thing is that I feel like your neck and back and like shoulders have to hurt. So ultimately, I feel like the hand tied gives you all of the control within your hands, obviously, not your neck or mouth. And you have all of that control sitting in your hands the same way you would waxing, laminating, tinting, tweezing, anything like that. So I just feel like it lays in parallels more with traditional hair removal a lot better. It gives you, again, the control, the precision, the speed, and you're just not relying on like your whole body. The other thing that I've noticed is the style of the loop that I do allows for both hands to be movable. I had somebody reach out on Instagram and they're like, gosh, I just really wish I could learn how to thread with my left hand. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, you do. What do you mean? And I realized there's a style where they kind of like loop the thread around their finger, and like one hand is just keeping that V open and the other hand's doing all of the work. I feel like that is just I don't know, it's tricky because there's so much of our industry that requires a little bit of being ambidextrous, and I feel like when you handicap yourself like that, you have to move around more, you have to adjust your client more. When you're able to rock back and forth with both hands free moving, you have just so much more control, you've got speed. I think it's more ergonomic, and you're working both hands and wrists equally. They're taking of the brunt, kind of sharing it instead of all of the pressure and tension and strain isn't just on one hand. I know that even when I'm tweezing, like I can only tweeze with my dominant hand. I know that can be tedious. So like sometimes I'll even stop tweezing and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep threading. And thankfully for a large portion of my clientele, I can thread the entire brow almost without even having to tweeze, which is
Hey, it's Emily here from Browfox Beauty. I'm so proud to be sponsoring this episode of Brow Education. If you are new here, let me tell you a little bit about Browfox Beauty. We are a professional brow line for the esthetician. We specialize in easy retail for the busy esthetician. We also have a line of better back bar basics so you can be super confident putting pre and post wax solution and massage oil onto your client's skin, giving them the best glow and the best brows yet. You can find more information at browfoxbeauty.com or on social media at browfoxbeauty.
brow almost without even having to tweeze, which is phenomenal. And like I was saying about the Kelly Baker thing, I was like, we could do like all like waxing without a single bit of tweezing. I can do that with threading too. So, and we have a clear path of view, and I feel like we can make such sharp, sharp lines. Okay, let's take a second to just like circle back a little bit. We talked about what my favorite form of hair removal is, threading, shocker, and my style of threading, which is hand tied, like we just went over. Now, what got me into it and how did it really change the game for me? So when I went to beauty school, my only goal, I have acne, featuring this cutie pie pimple patch if you're watching. And it really made me want to dive in. I loved the idea and the freedom that it felt like the aesthetics world could give me, and that's what drew me initially. And then I was like, skincare, check, that makes perfect sense for me. I would love to know how to like handle this situation that I have going on in my face personally, and then of course help other people who are going through what I had gone through and the struggle and the lack of confidence and just like the self-bullying you end up doing when you're dealing with acne. It was like, check, 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 this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I went through with the entire time I was in beauty school. My sole purpose was learning everything I could about you know, acne, different concerns with the skin and the face and ingredients and protocols and products and all this stuff. And I hated waxing. Every time we got to like any hair removal portion, I was like, oh, this is the worst. I just want to do facials. I just want to read my textbook. I just want to take a quiz about an ingredient thing. Like, I don't want to do this. We would fight over it. Nobody wanted to do it. And it's so funny to me that 2 years out, or a year, year and a half out after getting licensed, that's what I was doing full time. I was threading all the time. So I started with a job that I learned to thread at. And I think I took about 3 months to like fully learn, and then started on the floor with like models, and then moved up to there, like from there to like full blown pricing. And then I very, very shortly after that, I was like in it. I was like, give me all the clients. I have 100% open availability. Like, I want to do everyone's eyebrows. Gimme, 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 gimme. I'm so excited about this. And I loved it. I loved working in a little boutique. I was just so stoked to like be in the aesthetics world too, like the beauty world. I was so stoked to be there. And the fact that I didn't like, it was so weird. The second I started learning how to thread, I was like, I like this so much more. And I think like what really triggered for me was the skincare element to it. Like, I got into this game for skincare, and the fact that there was no damage being done, there was a lot less redness. We could finesse it a little bit more and like make it more skincare related. You know, we didn't have to use the traditional prep and post products like you do with waxing. We didn't have to worry about like stickiness or tackiness. You know, they could come in with makeup and leave still looking really well like done up and everything like that. And so it was just like this different avenue of hair removal that I had zero experience in because it's not taught in beauty school, at least where I am in California. I got on the floor and I'm working with people and I'm just like, this is incredible. I'm not causing damage. We have so many return clients. We can apply a little makeup on afterwards, or they can just head out and not have any redness. I started using what I currently have in my studio and have sold to my clients is lavender water. So back when I was working there, we had a company called 100% Pure, and they had a lavender hydrosol. And I was obsessed with it. It's like I would go up to the front and grab it and like come back and be like, let me give you a spritz. Because I always want to make my brows. Because we were like I don't want to call it like a benefit bar, but like privately owned benefit bar style. There was like bars, but we were all threading. So it's called a brow bar. And I wanted to elevate it. You know, they were sitting up, they were just in chairs. It was really quick appointment. Well, it wasn't a quick appointment. My appointments are half the time that I took there. But also I was quick. I'm always been quick threader. They were there for 30 minutes and I didn't need it all. So I would go grab this spray and like spritz them and like fill their brows in and give them a plan and like all of this stuff. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. And then eventually it got to the point where that's all I was doing. I was just threading all the time. I was booked out and I was like, I want more of this. I want to be more in control. I want to like set the protocol. I want to switch things up, and I wasn't able to because I was I was an employee there. So that was when I was like, I have clients. I have a desire and a drive to change things and do things a little bit differently. I wasn't formally or officially a manager there, but I definitely managed a lot, like with the other employee, like coworkers and clients, of course, and things like that. And I had like a really, really strong relationship and connection with these clients. I would like give them my personal number if they had questions or concerns or anything like that. So I started really building these relationships up. And so when I walked, I was so grateful and thankful that I had clients follow me. And I was able to not just start from scratch like I did from the very beginning. I talked about that in another episode. Where I just completely flopped. I failed so hard, and that was so scary, knowing that the first time that I went out on my own was a complete failure and it ultimately gave me nothing but debt. And so going out for the second time solo, I was like, we are going frugal. We are not spending too much money. And the best part about that was that when I was going out on my own, it was so wild to me that the only things I needed was like, you know, logistically like containers and stuff like that for storage, but like the bread and butter of what was going to make me money was a spool of thread. And all I started, I swear, for the first 2 years of my business, I had 4 tools. I had 2 tweezers and I had 2 scissors, and they rotated. And I had a spool of thread. I had the spoolies and cotton balls and like little paper towels for my SMA, and that was it. I had a little bit of extra stuff because I wanted to do facials too at that time. So that was the bigger investment that I was very frugal with. But it was so cool that the clients that I knew that I was going to make money off of, the second I opened my business, the people that were following me were threading clients. And that's all I had to buy. I spent I don't know, maybe like 150 on the tools because I like went bougie with them because I wanted solid tools, my tweezers and scissors. And then, you know what, $20 on the rest, maybe. And I was set. And I didn't upgrade for a really long time. And I just made that money, built my business, and, you know, reinvested in the business itself to grow it and my marketing and, you know, gaining more clients. But it was so incredible that that little spool of thread built what it built, and consistently that was what was making me money. When I wanted to do a new facial thing, the threading was the one that was funding it. When I wanted to learn lamination, threading funded it. When I wanted to do a new venture, threading was funding it. Which is wild. That $4 little thing of thread is what built everything that I have now. But when I talk about threading, and specifically the hand tied threading method, I know I sound like a crazy person, but that is because it built everything. I genuinely, I wouldn't be here, you know? So I will continue preaching about how fucking awesome threading is, how incredible it is for your clients, how easy it is, and how unbelievably low the overhead is, meaning that your profit is going to be so much higher than anything else that we have. You know, wax costs money, lamination costs money. These things have, I mean, it's affordable, don't get me wrong. It's not like any of our overhead is crazy, but when you compare it to threading, it's bananas. So the fact that we can earn what we can earn, you know, making $100 in an hour, and normally a large portion of that goes to costs. And I mean, you know, your business, the things that you have to run your business are going to be expensive. But when the treatments can be that low cost, sign me up, baby. So I will continue yelling and screaming about threading. If you are curious and you want to learn more, please feel free to reach out to me. I love chatting about it. Clearly, I just talked for 20 minutes about threading and all the fun that it brought into my life and all the wonderful things that it, did for me, all the doors that it opened. And I just thank my little spool of thread every day. I have that threading manual online on my website. I'll make sure to tag it in the show notes. Take a look. Follow me on Instagram at the.eyebrow.goddess. Follow the podcast at Browducation. And stay tuned. Subscribe. Share this with a brow friend. And tell them about threading. Go check out the manual. Purchase it. And tell me what you think. I have some really fun memberships coming very, very soon. One will be more generic for just a starter, anybody new to the brow world and wanting to just have, more basic education. And then my second one is going to be continued education for threaders. I'm like so jazzed up for this. I want people that maybe know a different technique or took a course and didn't love it or tried the YouTube route and were unsuccessful. This is going to be for you. So it's going to be a really low ticket monthly. You're going to get a ton of resources and support from me. And I really just can't wait for it to get here. I have a few master classes coming soon as well. And probably more ebooks in the future. These manuals are so much fun for me to make. The threading manual is super unique with the fact that it's kind of hybrid. You can go through the manual and there's images and links that you can click that will shoot you to videos for more in-depth information. So I am super stoked for everything that is to come and just talking more about threading and brows with you. And I can't thank you enough for being here. And there's so much fun stuff coming, so make sure to stay tuned. Thank you to our sponsor, Brow Fox Beauty. We'll catch you next week.